Hey, how's it going, everyone? Hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday. It's been a little while. I was looking at my upload schedule, and I noticed it's been a few weeks. I dropped 4 videos at once, and then I just kind of had a lot of stuff going on. Got the opportunity to do some traveling. Got this guy here in the studio. Well, let's see if we can show. Yeah, there it goes. There it goes. It's A1. Got the opportunity to do some shoots with it. And yeah, so I figured I have a video that I was going to release today, but I decided that I'm going to hold on to it. So more than likely next week, I'll have a couple of videos that I'm going to be releasing here on my channel. And this month, there's a lot of new content that I'm going to be releasing. I've been hard at work doing a bunch of different projects. And so I figured, you know what? It's Friday. Let's get together. Let's talk. Let's catch up. Let's see how everything is going. So if you guys are watching right now, let me know in the comment section where you are watching from. But if you're here for the first time, my name is Miguel Quiles. I put out videos here on my channel talking about business, talking about gear review, lighting, off-camera flash, all sorts of different topics of interest. Lots been going on lately. I've had the opportunity to put the Alpha 1 through some tests, did some studio shoots with it, did some shoots on location. Been having a lot of fun with that. And funny enough, I have another video that I'm working on because I know many of you are kind of interested in other things. And so check this out. So I ended up picking up the Minolta Maxim 9. This is a film camera. And I'm going to be doing a video here very soon comparing the Maxim 9, which was basically like the pinnacle of film photography. Like this was like the bad boy of the film photography days. And so I'm going to be doing some videos basically putting it up against modern cameras and kind of talking about some of the advantages, disadvantages, stuff of that nature. So Joseph Chan in the house. How's it going from San Francisco? Good to have you. We've got Alberto in the house. Good to see you. And so let me know if you guys are watching, where you are watching from. I'm going to take 2 seconds here to share this live stream. And any questions that you guys have, today is going to be kind of like a chill live stream. So it's going to be whatever you guys end up making it. So it could be a Q&A, it could be a day of ranting, it could be, a lot of different things. Georgina May from Santa Barbara, good to have you. And Alberto's in North Carolina. Tim, how's it going? Columbus. Very cool. We've got Kim from BK. I was actually just there a couple weeks ago. It's pretty awesome. What's going on? Denver, Colorado. Man, I used to go to Denver like 2-3 times a year, and it's been a little while. I'm looking forward to getting back out there. Philadelphia. Good to have you, Edward. Claudia in Maryland. Very cool. So give me 2 seconds, everybody. Go ahead and leave your questions or topics that you guys want to discuss today. I'm just going to share this on Facebook because last time people were upset that I did not share. So we're going to fix that today. I want to make sure I do share this. So 2 seconds, my friends. There we go. And by the way, if you think there's anybody who would have some fun and benefit from today's conversation, then by all means, feel free to share the live stream here. Let's see. Here we go. All right. And here we go. Facebook, live on YouTube, answering your photography questions. All right. Done. Look at that. Like an absolute pro. Okay. Back to the live stream, back to the chat. Here we go. So, Calgary. Curtis, how's it going? Franklin watching from Houston, Texas. Good to have you all here. So again, any questions that you guys have, be sure to leave them in the comment section below. There's a video topic that I'm going to be bringing up here on my channel relatively soon. And before I kind of go into the shooting this video, I wanted to kind of talk to y'all, just open up some dialogue, because I'm still formulating my feelings on this. I have some initial feelings on this topic, but I want to solicit y'all's opinion. So there's this conversation that's been happening, probably it's as old as photography itself, but people have been talking about gear and whether or not better gear makes you a better photographer. And for the longest time, I've felt like, no, it doesn't make you a better photographer. Like there are photographers out there that create amazing work and they do it with budget gear. Some are doing them with their cell phones, right? So there is that part of the argument, and I hear it loud and clear. And I've probably been one of those people that has been banging that drum over the years that you don't have to have great equipment. And even as I use some of the better gear that's out there, I still feel like I can create the same caliber and level of imagery using cheaper equipment. But on the other hand, if you really think about it, and this is what I've been doing lately, and I just want to pose this question to you all so we can have some discussion. If you have better equipment, then it helps you to be more consistent. You can rely more on the equipment. So I'm curious if better gear makes you more, gives you the ability to be more consistent, to be more reliant, to take perhaps some of the processes of taking a photo and maybe kind of make it easier to do or help you to arrive at a better image faster. Does that not make you a better photographer? So kind of curious. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this topic in regards to gear making you a better photographer, because I'm starting to feel like it kind of might. I don't know. I look at my own work and I look at the gear that I have today, and I could honestly say, like, having used cheaper gear over the last few years, mainly to shoot videos for you guys, there's a lot of advantages that I've seen to the setups that I would traditionally use versus the stuff that I'm using to demonstrate ideas and techniques and things like that in my videos. And I just think to myself, okay, I'm doing this for the purpose of a video, so it's okay if I'm shooting with something that I normally don't shoot with. But if I was having to shoot with this stuff every single day because that was my business and that's all that I own, would I be the best version of myself? Would I be the most effective version of myself that I could be? And in many cases, I'm like, I don't know. It'd be tough. It'd be really tough. So interested to hear what you guys think about this. Let's see. Franklin says, in my view, it's like F1. You need a good driver and a good car. And yeah, I couldn't argue that. There's more to it than the equipment, and there's more to it than the gear. But in the right hands, if you know what you're doing and you have good gear to support your ambitions and your goals in photography, then I do think that I do think it's helpful. Alberto says, good gear makes it easier for the inexperienced. It does not give you vision. And that is true. But what I'm saying is, if you have the vision, right? If you have the skills, are you not being made, or do you not have an opportunity to be a better photographer if you can be more consistent with your vision, if you can be more consistent with your work because you have better gear to allow you to do that? Does that make sense? I don't know. Like I say, I'm still kind of formulating this idea as I get ready to make this video. So these conversations are super, super helpful. Experience with cheap gear will always look good due to experience. Um, yeah, so here's the tricky part to this. So like I'll give you guys an example of kind of where I'm coming from with this. So I had a video that I was putting together. I filmed last year a bunch of videos. Some of them are in different stages of completion, right? But one of the videos I was using a product, and first time really using this product, and I'm trying to bring more diversity as far as equipment and things like that to my YouTube videos. So trying out this product that I normally would not use, and I'm realizing really quickly that it is slowing me down. It's causing me to shoot a lot slower to the point to where at some point in the shoot, I was kind of like, is this thing working? Like, is there something wrong with the setup? Like something's going on because I feel like we should have had a lot more shots at this point in the shoot, and I didn't have it. And come to find out, it's been a long time since I had been shooting with some of these other products. And when I shot with this specific thing, and I'm not going to give it away because it's not about like bashing gear or anything like that, but I couldn't put the video out because I knew like I don't want to show it and then people see, oh wow, you can produce some really great results. But the thing is, the process of getting there was so painful that I'm just like, yeah, I don't know that I could talk about it. So let's see. Tim says, it does. I've improved my photography skills over the last 9 years, but looking at what I've shot with better equipment versus the kit lenses I used to use, a world of difference. Yeah. I think that's really what it kind of boils down to. Like if you have better gear and better equipment, there is an opportunity for you to be able to be more efficient. It may not be, and I think this is where, where my mind is kind of going on this topic, but it's not about the image itself, right? The images themselves, like you can get images that look really great out of a pocket camera or out of a cell phone compared to like a professional camera. You can still get quality images, but I feel like the experience of getting there is totally different, and the consistency in being able to get there is totally different. So that's kind of yeah, that's kind of the thing. Let's see. Tools, care, suites. People have created phenomenal things with what they had. A lot of people like me can't afford top of the line gear, and I feel you. And that's where, like, for me, with my videos that are coming up, I'm trying to use more attainable, um, affordable equipment. Uh, but what I'm trying to balance here, and this is the trickiness as a content creator here on YouTube, when I use certain pieces of equipment and people see the result, it's very common that people will look at that and be like, oh, wow, so Miguel used that in this YouTube video and the results look really cool. I'm going to go ahead and buy that. And they might buy it and their experience with the product might not be, maybe they see the things I saw where it's like, wow, this works. It does get you to the point where you can get a good image, but my goodness, the experience of like getting to that image was not good. And so yeah, it's a battle. It's a big battle for me. I don't know. Albert says, I think good gear does help, but I don't think it makes you a better photographer. Newer technology will make it easier to arrive at the final image quicker. And that right there is my point. Newer technology, better quality equipment is going to help you to get to a better image quicker, and it's going to help you to be more consistent. Claudia says, I don't think it's the gear as much as the person behind the gear. And I agree with you 100%. I don't think that's necessarily the argument. I think the argument more is, if you have somebody who is good at what they do, and whatever it is, whatever kind of photography it is that they pursue, can they be a better photographer if they have better quality, better functioning, better equipment? That's really the conversation. I learned photography the old way with film and love the learning process. I always think back to how I only had a certain amount of film to shoot. I had to think carefully to compose. Yeah, I mean, I was there when I started in photography. I started with an SLR. Um, Film had 12, 24 exposures, maybe 36, depending on which rolls of film you got. You know, I showed this at the beginning, but, you know, I'm still shooting film. Like I still enjoy doing it. And it is a bit of a different process, right? It does slow you down and it does help you to see things a little bit better. But you know, on the flip side of things, like the way that people used to work back in the day was very much limited by the gear that they had. Would they have taken more photos if they had the ability to take them the way that we do today with digital cameras? Um, you know, we have our people that came before us that would talk about like, oh, we had to walk through snow and all these like challenges that we had to do the most basic things in life. And it's like, well, does that make it right? Does it mean that that's how we should do it? You know, um, I don't know. Millions of years ago, people used to have to go out and hunt for their food. You know, does that mean we have to go and do the same thing? And is it wrong for us to go through a drive-through? I don't know. Just bringing up some conversation for you guys to chew on today. Um, it makes sense. I see what you're saying. Good gear will definitely allow fast growth because your eyes will develop faster, and it will allow you to be creative. Cheap gear will make you say meh. Um, Potentially, yeah. I mean, I feel like every time that I've used alternative budget options, it's not like I can't create with it, but it's just the experience of using it. Like it slows you down in a not good way, right? Especially if you're used to working at a certain speed of pace, and then you have to slow down or you have to modify the way that you shoot in a way that is not productive. Then we really start getting into this whole like, well, what is better, right? If it makes you more consistent, are you not better? Um, you know, if it helps you to take a great image faster, are you not better? If you're, let's say in the case of lighting, you know, if your flash has less misfires, if your flash has accurate and steady color temperature, and it takes, you know, even if it saves you 2 seconds in post production over the course of, you know, hundreds or thousands of images that you might take, does that not make you a better photographer? It's just something to think about. Let's see. Nelson says, no one asked Stephen King what typewriter he used to write The Shining. Better equipment could give you better results, but doesn't necessarily make one a better photographer. That's up to you. And I agree, but here's the thing: Stephen King likely was not, you know, if he had the option to use a typewriter or to write everything by hand, I would venture to guess he would use the typewriter because it is the more efficient way to be able to uh, put his ideas and put this story into something tangible. So I agree. You know, it's I've heard it often said in the past, like it's not the arrow, it's the Indian, right? And I've heard this sentiment and I've heard this saying, but you know, having used budget gear over the last few months, and really thinking back to when I first started in photography, where I used budget equipment all the time, um, you know, I saw the limitations of that equipment and that gear. And I feel like on YouTube, there's like two extremes. You have the extreme of like people who use the good equipment, and then you kind of isolate or you maybe put off people who are not able to afford that type of equipment. And then, you know, and then you have the far opposite where people are like, oh yeah, you don't need the expensive stuff. Just use this cheap whatever, fill in the blank, and you'll get results that are just as good. And that's where I'm like, there's more to the conversation though, you know, it's not just that final image, it's the whole experience of arriving. You know, I always say like you could ride like a skateboard to get from point A to point B, or you could take a Ferrari, you know, but chances are the experience in the Ferrari is going to be a lot more enjoyable. You're going to get there faster, you know, you'll arrive in style. It's not to say one is better than the other. They both get you from point A to point B, but the experience is way different. Um, let's see. So Tool says, do you learn how to create an image if you have all the perfect gear at your fingertips, or do you learn to visualize the shot and learn how to use what you have to create the shot? Um, you know, I think that they're kind of a situation, I think you can learn photography using your cell phone, just going out and composing shots with your phone and taking great shots that way. I think it's separate from the gear as far as like your ability to learn. But I think as you learn and as you get better, get more creative, um, you're going to see an advantage and it's going to make you better as you get better equipment. Like going from a kit lens is a perfect example. You start out with a kit lens, pretty much everybody does, but then at some point you get a 50 millimeter f1.8 lens because it's super affordable. And that makes you a better photographer because now to where you couldn't shoot in low light situations without ending up with very grainy images, now you can shoot in low light and you can get, a quality result. And then you look at a 51.8 versus maybe upgrading to a 51.4 or an 85 1.4 or getting an f1.2 or going like super exotic and then it'll get an f1.0 lens or something like that. It gives you the ability to be creative in a bunch of different situations. And if you find yourself in those situations often, then maybe it pays to have those things. And again, I don't know. We're just talking here. We're just having conversation. I haven't decided one way or the other, but I'm playing devil's advocate. So I'm new to photography. I got an A7 III and a 135 GM based on what I know I want to create. Been doing well with only 7 to 8 months of due diligence. Due diligence is a factor. Yeah, I mean, an A7 III. I mean, I tell you what, to be new to photography, first off, and I'm sure many of you will agree in the comments, to start off with an A7 III and a 135 GM, you're starting off way ahead of me, and that's cool. Like I can't hate you for it, but you're starting off a lot better than most. That's for sure. And sometimes when you start off with really good gear like that, it could be very good and it could be very freeing, but at the same time, thinking back to the film days and using gear that was not as it wasn't as consistent. It required quite a bit more work to be able to get good shots. um I don't know, I feel like you skip over that process, and I don't know if that is a good or a bad thing. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Is that a good thing if you start off with really good gear and you don't have those like growing pains? Does that help or does that hinder you? I don't know. Franklin says, last year I missed key photos, came out not in focus during a session with a kid. Probably a gear with a reliable eye tracking would help a lot. I knew what I was doing, but I felt somehow limited. Yeah, I mean, I've had the same thing myself. I have a video that I'm going to be putting out here relatively soon. I'm working on getting the images done, but I had a photo shoot that I did early on in my career. It was one of my first maybe 10 or so photo shoots that I did with off-camera flash. And I remember after the photo shoot was done, I looked at the images and I thought to myself, like, my dream has been accomplished. I've been able to create the type of images that I see in a magazine. This is what I was telling myself. Um, and I remember I posted these images in a group, and people were like, "Hey, they're not in focus." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, you could see the person in the photograph; they are perfectly in focus." They're like, "No, no, no. Go into Lightroom, zoom into that, face, zoom into the eye, see if that is sharp, because online it's appearing to be blurry." And wouldn't you know it, the focus was off. And I learned straight away from that experience, like, okay, maybe there is something to this. Maybe uh, that would have been a scenario. We're talking like 2012, so eye autofocus wasn't even so much of a thing. It's not as advanced as it is today. But I think to myself, man, if I would have had eye tracking and did the exact same thing that I did, the shots came out great. They just were all blurry, So if the camera would have gotten those shots in focus for me, that might have been a good thing. Claudia says, technology has made things easier for many to learn a new way, but experience doesn't come with technology. It comes with time and practice. That I agree with you 100%. Regardless of what you're using, whether it's, affordable gear, expensive gear, the more time that you put into practicing and learning and just like honing your craft, yeah, absolutely. There's no replacement for that. There comes a point in your creative process where, as you said, the gear holds you back. I feel as if in certain situations, the gear holds back our creativity. I do think there's something to that as well. Um, I have a lot of gear. I mean, I over the years, being that I've done this as my career now for going on almost 9 years, there's been various times where I've had projects that require me to have very specific lenses, lights, accessories, whatever have you. And I am the type of person, like, if I feel like there's a possibility that I'll work with this client again, or that I'll get other jobs that might require me to have to use those things again, I just buy the product, and I build into the price for whatever the project is a little bit of an extra budget, so that, let's say if it's like a $500 thing that I have to buy for this project, I might charge them an extra $200 to do the project. And then in my mind, it's like, okay, I'm only spending $300 to buy that $500 thing. Does that make sense? That's what my mindset was at the time. And so over the years, I would buy a lot of different equipment and just have it here at the studio in the hopes that at some point, maybe I'll use it. And sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. I have a lot of stuff that, has been sitting and collecting dust. But I also have a lot of things that I've used that have treated me well. So I do agree. What's up, Angel? How's it going? Nothing new, same old, same old, same old. Just grinding away as usual. Lorraine, how are you? I would love a 135 GM. You and me both. I love my 135 GM. It's in my top 5 favorite Sony lenses of all time. Because we start thinking about what gear to use instead of what is the result we are trying to get. Yeah, and that's kind of the point that I was eventually getting to, which was that I have all of this gear, and many times there's this like paralysis analysis where you're like, well, I have a product that I could use for this project, but I also have this other product, and they both work in different ways. So depending on how I implement each of these, I might take this project in a different way. As to where if I only had one, then maybe that would have made things a little bit easier because you just use what you have. Um, so, but again, that it still takes me back to, does that make you better to have less options? I don't know. That's why I'm bringing it up in this live stream. Interested to hear what you guys have to say. Alberto says, I had an 85 Sony, got rid of it, and got a 55 and the 135. Decided to stay Sony because I feel native is better. Yeah, this was a conversation that I've been having a lot lately. And I know many of you guys who are out there, guys and gals who are out there, don't all shoot Sony. But I tend to tell people who are Sony shooters, or they aspire to be Sony shooters. And I am an ambassador for Sony. I am a Sony artisan of imagery. So I'm going to tell you that up front. But regardless of that, like, I still have my own opinions that are separate from that. Like, they're not paying me to tell you, yeah, this is the product, it's great, right? I still have my own opinion on things. And I could tell you that when it comes to Sony specifically, if you look at some of the lenses like the 135 GM, which we've talked about, that's awesome. The 24 1.4 GM, the 35 GM, 400 GM, these lenses have completely different technology when it comes to pushing elements inside of the glass. And a lot of the lens manufacturers that are out there are still using old school technology, rotational actuators. Like, it gets really nerdy, but look into this. Like, if you're bored one day, just go on YouTube and do a search for lens motor technology. And you're going to see that many of the lenses that are being made today in 2021 still use the same type of science and technology to move lenses within, or lens elements within a lens, that were being used in like the 80s and the 70s and the 60s. And we're in 2021. So yeah, there's some Sony lenses out there that are using some really crazy like voodoo witchcraft to move the lenses so that it could keep up with these really fast processors that they're putting in these new cameras. And that's good because it's going to give you faster performance, more reliable performance. And every time I've tried to use a third party lens, that's been my problem. And that's why I always tell people if you're shooting Sony, unless they don't have the specific lens that in their lineup, which they have a lot. But if they don't have the specific lens in the lineup that you're looking for, then okay, then you don't really have an option, then, right? You just go with the third party option. But if you have the option, and if I have the option, I'm going to go with the first party lens because it performs better. They're putting better, newer technology into these lenses that you really have to experience it. And I think most of the people that have tried the third party stuff, they haven't tried the first party lenses to really see what that advantage is. And yeah. Robert says, "Hey Miguel, what light modifier are you using right now for your live chat?" So I have a it's actually a new one. So let me know in the chat if you guys like this light that I have on me right now. But this is a parabolic modifier made by Nanlite. I will tell you. I'm going to drop this in the. I'll tell you the exact model because this is brand new for me. Let's see. So this light, let's go to soft boxes. So I believe that this one is the Nanlite Para 120. So if you search that one, you should see it. Or maybe it's the 150. It's either the 150 or the 120. It's pretty big. But yeah, so I have that. That is the light that I'm using to light myself right now. And I think it looks pretty good. Albert, by the way, I do like this format. Should do this every Friday or every other Friday. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You know, I've struggled over the last few months to put out content on my own channel. And it's not that I don't have it. I have a lot of videos that I filmed that I haven't been able to put out for one reason or another. But if you guys don't know this, I actually create content for the official Sony YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and you search Alpha Universe, just go to their YouTube channel, you're going to see me like crazy. So all the videos that you've been missing from me over the last few months, it's quite likely that it's on their YouTube channel. So I've been trying little by little to like get to the point to where I could be consistent about posting here on my own channel. And I do think that you know, doing these live streams, doing you know, the Q&A format style, doing the portfolio reviews, which I've gotten a lot of emails and messages that you guys want me to do more of that, and I do plan to do more. So yeah, this might be maybe like an every first Fridays or something like that of the month that I might start to do that. Is it better to have a better lens or better camera if you can afford both of them? So the old wisdom, the old saying is that you date your camera body and you marry your lens. I could see that so long as you're not marrying crop sensor lenses, unless you shoot a system where like crop sensor is the top of the line for them. Then you know it's a different story. But in the case of Sony, for example, or even like Canon and Nikon, they have full frame cameras, they have APS-C cameras, they have even smaller um, format sensors that take different lenses as well. So to me, it's like I would personally spend and invest more money in lenses because they last you a lot longer. I mean, I'm looking at a table right now with let's say the 85 1.8. That thing has been on at least like 6 different Sony camera bodies, you know, and I'm sure any other cameras that will come up in the next few years, it's still going to continue to see life and see support as far as my work is concerned. So in my opinion, it's better to have a good lens because it's going to last you a lot longer in the long run. But it just depends. You know, I've known people to this day, for example, that still shoot with a DSLR that's like 6, 7 years old, and they still produce really great work. So just depends on how serious you want to get in photography. To me, I would rather invest in good glass because it's going to give me a lot more flexibility, and it oftentimes will make your uh, more like affordable camera perform better. You'll get better imagery out of it. I'm a barber, and I agree. Experience is with time and lots of error. Good gear will not void that. Yep, 100%. Alberto, what do you think of the next Sony lenses to be released, or will they update a couple? Um, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know until I try them, and when I try them, you will know. You will hear. Um, but yeah, I mean, I would love to see. I'm the type of person, like, I'm enjoying what I'm using right now as far as like cameras and lenses are concerned. But specifically with Sony, they have a way, like every time they come out with a new camera, and I'll share this with you guys as a little bit of like information. So uh, I remember sitting at the announcement of the A7R3. And at that point in time, I had been shooting the A7R2 since like day one. I love the camera. I love the results I was getting. And I remember sitting there, and and they say, like, I'm at the announcement, the Sony press announcement, and they're like, okay, here it is, the A7R3. And I'm kind of sitting there like, okay, cool. I got an A7R2. Like, I'm holding it. I'm happy. I'm like that proud papa, and then they start talking about the features, and they talk about it has this, it has that. I'm like, okay, that sounds good. And usually after these press announcements, they have like little shooting stations that are set up that you can go and test out the gear. And so, of course, I'm there. I'm going to test it out. And I start shooting with it. And I'm like, oh, this camera also has this. And it also has this other feature. And I'm like looking at my R2 at the time. And I'm like, it's not as beautiful and as awesome as I thought it was. Like, this is clearly better. And eventually I end up upgrading. So, there's a lot of that happening where like I'm really happy with what I have, but who knows? They might come out with a new lens or a new whatever that's even better than what I would have imagined. And of course I got to have it. That's just me. Um, Angel says, looking for advice. I'm between 85 or 70 to 200. Um, so this is kind of an easy one. I mean, to me, 70 to 200 has always been like a fantastic lens for shooting portraits. It's so versatile. Even when I shot with Canon back in the day, I used to have the 70 to 200 f4 that I did the majority of my studio stuff with back in the day, and it got the job done. Um, Today, I use the 70 to 200 G Master, and I could tell you that that lens is an absolute monster. So to me, if I had to choose between the two, I would go with the 70 to 200. However, as it is with most tools in life, while the 70 to 200 is super versatile and it's a great lens, it is also heavy. And so if you're doing long photo shoots, it can wear you down. If you are doing photo shoots outdoors and it's hot, it's going to help you break a sweat really quickly. And I found in the past, especially when I shot with that 70 to 200 f4, I found that as I would go out and do these photo shoots, even though it was super versatile and the quality was really good, because the lens was so heavy, I would end up getting tired out, and that messed up my creativity. And that's just me personally. So, I ended up trying to figure out, like, okay, is it possible for me to just bring a monopod out and shoot, with the lens on a monopod so I didn't have to hold the weight for 3 hours for a photo shoot? So then you just figure out ways to be able to work around it. But to me, 70 to 200 all day long, unless you prioritize having a lens that's a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter. Of course, being a prime lens, 85 gives you really good image quality, still super flattering for shooting portraits if that's what you do. But yeah, I mean, if I can only have one, I'm taking a 70 to 200 every single time. Um, a kit lens help not only learn using a camera without breaking the bank, but also gives you an idea after a while what is your favorite focal length, photo genre, style, and composition. I agree with you. I think that kit lenses have their use. Um, I also think that what you're saying is true, but I think that that period of time that it takes for you to figure out what is your most favorite and useful focal length, what genre of photography, what style, what composition, I think that stuff hits you a little bit quicker than you might anticipate. Um, so at least that was the case for me. I mean, I shot with a kit lens, and I would say within the first like month or so, I was like, okay, I see what I like and what I would like to do, and I know I've hit my limit. Like I've hit the wall with what I'm capable of doing with a kit lens, and so I know straight away, like, okay, I need to get this lens. But yeah, I totally agree. How do you show comments on stream? Is it a plugin or a special software? It is a special software as a service um, that I'm using, and it actually kind of manages the live stream. So I think, let me see, if you go to my YouTube channel, let me pull this up in a separate window here. Um, if you go to my YouTube channel and you look at the video, let's see. I want to pull it up and make sure before I say this. All right, so if you go to the Miguel and Irene Rudnick React to Your Instagram profiles, which is on my YouTube channel, click on the description and you can see the link to the software that I use. And it's really awesome software. I have the like, and I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that, but I have the Pro package, so it allows me to stream in 1080 HD, which is super sweet. But yeah, this product is amazing. Like I put on quite a few YouTubers that I know to this software, and it's great. Um, I think if we compare this to anything else, say fighting, if you have a better coach, in theory, you should be better. But there are fighters out there whose coach is not a top prospect. Yeah, listen, I'm a big fight fan, right? Fighting is a little bit different because you could have a great coach, you could have the most advanced equipment, have like the best training partners, the most advanced training regimen, and you know what? There's some people that just don't have it. You know, there's some people that just don't have the skills. They don't have the ability. They don't have the fight brain for it. Um, so yeah, maybe in a way, photography is kind of like that. Some people just don't have the photographer's brain to be able to, to do this. So could be that too. That is food for thought. Let's see, Jeff Jeter, how's it going? Good to have you here in the chat. We're just talking about gear. Elizabeth says, please say hi to me. Hi, Elizabeth Johnson. How are you? I have said hi to you. um, let's see. Robert was asking modifier and light, please. So I think you're talking about the lights that are lighting me right now. So it's a Nan light. Like I said, it was that Nan light modifier that I mentioned earlier, and a Nan light Forza 300. It is a continuous LED. Let's see, but the fighters are amazing, so I have to agree. I believe skill is based on your own productivity, practice, and experience. Yeah, I mean, but again, this isn't one of the, how can I put this? And maybe I'm doing a bad job of explaining this, but we're not talking about necessarily like the person's skill. What I'm talking about is the ability to execute that skill when you have better resources available to you. Is that a value? That's really what I'm trying to get to. Choo Choo, what's up? How's it going? Let's see. Robert was asking, where did you post the link to the modifier? Hang on 2 seconds. I'm going to post it in the chat. Give me 2 seconds here. Copy. And Boom. All right, there's the link to the modifier. Claudia was saying, love the video you did with Vanessa Joy. Thank you. Yeah, we have a video that's going to be coming out on her YouTube channel pretty soon. We did like a cheap gear challenge. It was a lot of fun. We got some fun images from there. Robert says, there are a lot of us in here benefiting from Miguel for free. There should be far more than 8 likes right now. Just saying. Yes. Thank you for that, Robert. Listen, if you guys are watching right now, do me a solid, please, and hit that thumbs up button. That goes a long way. Unfortunately, the way that YouTube works, you know, oftentimes the videos that kind of rise to the attention of multiple people are not the videos that are like the most helpful. It's usually the clickbait stuff. And I've noticed, and honestly, if I'm gonna have this open moment with you guys, that's part of what's kind of like just drained my motivation to put out videos here on my own channel. It's like I try to put out videos that are helpful. Obviously, creating videos, if you guys don't know this, making these videos takes a lot of time and resources, you know, and to put these videos out, there's times where like I'm fortunate that I have a sponsor that comes up and says, hey, we'll help to fund you know, your production of a video. But it's rare. I mean, I don't do sponsor content all the time. So oftentimes I'm at it alone, having to produce content, and I try to be as helpful. I try to put a lot of thought into it. Try not to be super clickbaity, but unfortunately the landscape right now on YouTube, and maybe the way that people's mind is being wired, it's like you have to do that if you're going to be successful on the platform, and it kind of sucks a little bit. So yeah, not whining about it. I'm gonna, you know, adjust and pivot and do my thing, but it definitely would be awesome. I would thank you guys greatly if you would like the video. Lorraine says, have you tried the 35 GM? The answer to that is yes. If you go to the Alpha Universe YouTube channel, I actually did the launch video for the 35 G Master. And I believe, hang on, let me see something here. Oh, and you guys can see I'm in socks. Let me got this big beast. So I don't know if you could see. You might not be able to since my eyes are here. Here we go. But yeah, that's the 35 G Master right there on the FX9. We're doing a video basically around taking the FX9 and using a gimbal. And as you can see, this is the Crane 3S rather. And you can see it's probably the first gimbal that I've ever owned that you could actually like fly this big whopper of a camera. But there's been some challenges that I'm having with this thing. So I'm trying to work through that. There's going to be a video for that separately, but 35 GM, absolute beast. Right now, the video that you're seeing right now is coming from the 24 G Master. And this is probably one of my favorite lenses like that Sony has made. And the 35 is like right there with it. So good. Hi from Paris. Hi from Orlando. Good to have you out there. Does knowing that there is newer gear available cause disappointment with our work because we don't have better gear? That's a good question. I mean, I'll open that up to you guys. I don't know that it necessarily causes disappointment for me because I enjoy the process, regardless of what gear it is that I have. I enjoy the process of creating imagery. So it doesn't necessarily cause any type of like disappointment or anything like that. You can't look back. You just have to keep looking forward. And that's kind of the way that I've taken things. Jeffrey says, will Sony make a 300 2.8 lens? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. 300 2.8, I feel like is one of those lenses that's in like every, you know, in every lens arsenal that's been out there for every system. So I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know when or if it's going to happen, but do you think it's a good idea to work for free when you're starting to begin building your portfolio? So Choo Choo, I think that you should basically try to use every single day as an opportunity to get better at your craft. Um, I could tell you for myself, when I started in photography, I worked for free all the time. Um, I would get friends, family, friends of family, family of friends, like you name it. Like I would get anybody to get in front of my camera so that I could photograph them and I could practice. And so oftentimes, yeah, I'm working for free, but I'm working towards a goal, which was a goal of consistency and a goal of mastery of some way, shape, or form. I wasn't working for free just to say, oh yeah, I just did something today. Like the goal was to get better. So here's the thing though, if you're working for free, I think where people kind of get tripped up is that they work for free and then they tell people that they worked for free, and that you cannot do. You know, if you did a photo shoot and you created some kind of imagery and you post that imagery up, you never let anyone know that you did it for free because it's none of their business. If you let people know that you did it for free, you will forever be a, photographer that people will expect that they worked for free. So, very, very good question. Um, yeah, so this was an answer to that same question. That's a solution, but first you have to know how much uh, worth your work. Then you'll know if you want to do it for free or not. That does come into it, but at the same time, if you're just starting out, how much worth is there? You know, and is that worth exceeding the worth of you gaining the experience? To me, that's super valuable. The value of experience, I think, is something that is not talked about enough. And so, yeah, I think that's part of it. Angel says, thanks, brother. Any workshops that you're planning in the future? So I have one that I'm doing this weekend. And actually, pretty much every weekend in the month of March, I'm doing a virtual workshop. Unfortunately, a lot of the local places where I could do workshops, they're still not open for business. So I'm hoping to do some in-person stuff very soon, but in the meantime, doing a lot of virtual stuff. What's your advice for a PC for photo editing? Um, it's always changing. So for me, I would say first and foremost, look and see the latest version of Photoshop and Lightroom and see what the minimum requirements are, and try to get as far away from those minimum requirements as you could possibly get. Having a dedicated GPU is going to be super helpful. Make sure that that GPU is supported by Adobe, and that's going to help you quite a bit. Because I have had the mistake. I bought this, like, it was a NVIDIA Quadro graphics card for my PC that I have here in my office. And I figured it's an NVIDIA Quadro. It's super high end, really, really fast and sophisticated, but it was not supported by Adobe. And so I ended up having a lot of issues trying to do basic photo editing, basic video editing, and still do to this day, unfortunately. Jeff says, everybody has a plan until they get hit, says Iron Mike. Yes, very, very true. And, everybody does have a plan. And, it's one of those things, like, this was another video that I was going to make, actually. I had a boxing match back in 2009, and I learned so many lessons about business and about life and about competition within the span of 3 2-minute rounds. I learned so much. And this idea of, like, everybody has a plan until they get hit, you understand it, but you understand it even more when you actually have gotten in the ring and you have to protect yourself and you have to hit other people at the same time. It's true. Everybody has a plan until they get hit. And once they get hit, oftentimes they're so discombobulated that they don't know up from down and left from right. And you still have to function. And not even just function, but you still got to try to win. And so I learned so many great lessons from being in the ring. Like, let me know if you guys would like to see a video about that. Or let me know if you guys want to see the video, because the video is on YouTube. If you guys want to see young Miguel strutting his feathers in the boxing ring. Paul says, in Capture One, is there a way to write to your camera card on Canon cameras? Explain that a little better. Is there a way to write to your camera card on Canon cameras? I don't know why you would want to do that. So my initial feeling would be no. Oh, while tethered. No, not really. I want to say no. If this was, one of those game shows, my answer would be no, because the writing goes from the camera to the computer, not from the computer to the camera. So that would be a no. Can I get shallower depth of field at 200, 2.8 versus 85, 1.4, say at mid-length shot portrait? The easiest way to answer that would be to do a search for depth of field calculator, and you could actually plug in those numbers and you could see how much depth of field you would have with one focal length versus the other. I would venture to guess, depending on how far away the person is from the background, that's also going to play into this equation. So it depends. The answer is going to be it depends. But theoretically, if you had a background that was a little bit farther back, you probably would get a shallower depth of field with a 200 at 2.8. But it just depends. I don't know. Depends on how far all the other variables are. So there's 18 likes now. Boom. But there's 47 people watching right now. So make sure you hit the thumbs up, please, and thank you. Mo Jones, what's going on? Passing by to show some support. Thanks for all the jewels. Thank you for the support. Thank you. Let's see. Miguel, do you plan on starting an online one-on-one training, critique, mentoring privately or through Alpha Creative? I've toyed around with the idea of doing this, and I do them actually relatively frequently. So if this is something that you'd be interested in doing, just drop me an email through my website, because I do one-on-ones, especially in these times that we're in. Doing remote stuff, it's pretty easy for me to do. So yeah, send me a message. I do plan on putting out something a little bit more like formal, that people can buy into and sign up for, but that's still on the way. EOJ Photography, Miguel, clickbait away. Always a big supporter of your channel and work, so do whatever you have to do. We all benefit from you. Thank you. Hopefully the lights have been treating you well, by the way. But yeah, it's hard for me, man. It's really hard because I came up in a time where like the resources on YouTube were not the way they are today. And so back then, if you had a video that was helpful, people would watch it because there wasn't anything else to watch. And then nowadays, it's like the YouTube landscape is so different where, you have a video on a specific topic, right? And I'm not pointing out, because I have a lot of friends that are YouTubers as well. And, everybody does what they got to do. But personally, for me, it doesn't go with my constitution. It bugs me to death when you have a video topic and then you're 2-3 minutes into the video and you've watched like God knows what. You've watched them change their tires. You've watched them, walk their dog. You've watched them pick their nose. You watch them make coffee. You watch them dump coffee. You watch all this other stuff that has nothing to do with the topic of the video, and it works. So again, I'm not hating. I'm just like, man, it's just, that's not the way I'm wired yet. I'm trying to rewire myself. So maybe I will. Hoping for an updated 85 GM, and I work for free a whole lot. I've been in 7 months going to start charging soon. Yeah. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with building up a portfolio in the beginning. And if you have to work for free in order to build that portfolio so that you can have the website, so that you can start showing the fact that you can be consistent with your work, there's nothing wrong with that. And yeah, I mean, an updated 85 GM. Listen, I love the 85 GM, but if they update it, I would be very happy with that too. Curtis says, what's your honest opinion of the A7R4? I own two of them. Uh, it was kind of a funny thing. So I had the R3 and the A7 III at the time that the R4 came out. I did a pre-order on the R4 because as soon as it came out and I got the opportunity, I was there for the launch for that camera as well. Got a chance to play with it, before it was in the hands of the public and all that. And I was like, the ergonomics were great. I noticed a big difference in the color science, which I didn't have any problem with the color science in the R3 or prior cameras, but it was noticeably different. So I pre-ordered an R4, and then of course it was back ordered, right? Because just because you're a Sony artisan doesn't mean that you get, stuff early or you get stuff for free. But so I pre-ordered the camera, and of course, that camera was like out of stock everywhere for the first few months that it was out. So I managed to go to a different retail store, and they tell me, hey Miguel, we got an R4 in stock. And I was like, oh, but I already have one on pre-order somewhere else. And I was like, but who knows when that one's going to come in, right? So I bought it, and I'm in the car, I'm driving home. No lie, like 45 minutes later, I get the confirmation from the first place that I pre-ordered the camera that the camera was on its way. So had a decision to make, and spoiler alert, I own two A7R4s. So my honest opinion, it is a fantastic camera. It's great. It's a great camera. I played with the A1. I've got the A1 here as well. Had the opportunity to play with this as well. I don't think they really compete with one another. You still get some crazy big files and crazy resolution out of the R4. So great camera. I mean, I think probably the best bang for the buck, with everything that it offers on the video side and photo side. Let's see. No, got to reach out, create, and people will ask what you charge and you tell them. Yeah, that's it. As you put out your work, the goal hopefully is going to be that people become aware of your skills and your ability to be able to shoot. And yeah, they hopefully will see the work and hire you to shoot for them. And then you could say, hey, yeah, this is what I've been charging. So maybe this is off topic. Is film camera equivalent to DSLR full frame? I have Canon AE1 with 50mm lens and 5D Mark III with a 50. When I look through the viewfinder, I see two different images. That's interesting. I mean, full frame is based off of a 35mm size, but there are some cameras that have a different size sensor. So they theoretically should look the same. The other thing too is what you're looking at through the optical viewfinder. I don't know if that's the case with the AE1, but sometimes you're not seeing 100% of the image through the viewfinder as you would with, with a DSLR. So that could also be part of it as well. He was saying that the objects on the AE1 look closer. So yeah, I would have to look that up. But I imagine that's probably what you're seeing. Let's see. Hey, Miguel, the video you did using the beauty dish as a fill light to the 5-foot octa was money. Thanks for that. The only question I had was with the ratio of key light to fill light. So good question, Robert. The video that he's talking about, I did 5 ways to use a beauty dish. And one of my favorite setups, and I use this to this day, I'll take a big light source like a big 5-foot octa, or you could use a big parabolic umbrella. Typically you do it soft light and then a hard light in between. So what I did was I have this big 5-foot octa as a big soft fill, and then I would take a harder beauty dish that I'm using specifically to light the person's face and give a hard soft light. It's kind of weird. But the ratio, I don't really necessarily work so much in ratios, but I'll say that the power output of the beauty dish was a little bit higher than the fill. So it may not have been an exact ratio, perhaps for that shot, the beauty dish, because I was using a Profoto Light. So let's say for argument's sake, it was at like a 7.5, and then the Octa might have been at like 6.5. Like it's just a little bit under. The way that you would integrate the two is you take the beauty dish, you light with that first. You get the quality of light looking good, but it's going to give you a bit of a harder result. Push in the 5-foot Octa, and then you tune that to basically fill some of the shadows and give you that kind of soft / hard look that those two modifiers together give you. So let's see. Angel says, come on, guys, hit those likes. Poor dude lives in Florida. Yes, please. For the low price of free, you can help this poor guy living in, hold on, let me see what the temperature is here. 77 degrees. The only thing that will make it better is a like on this video. Appreciate you. Thank you. Waiting on the 35 GM. I don't know what's going on after the initial delay. Any internal info? Honestly, I've heard the same thing, but from what I understand, the 35 is supposed to be shipping out. I think last I checked, it's next week sometime. So yeah, so it shouldn't be any more delays. Angel says, thank you for calling out some creators, not hating, but some of us have a life to get to. Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, I'm all for like, and this takes us in a whole different direction, so I don't want to chime in too much unless you guys want to go that way. But you know, I just have, it's a pet peeve of mine. Like I've seen certain creators on the platform that, you know, they provide, like if it's a 10-minute video, they provide 10 minutes of value from start to end, and I appreciate that. And then I'll have some videos where it starts off with a bunch of just like nonsense, and I'm fast forwarding, trying to like get to the meat of like, where's the topic that I came here for? And then I start digging through the video, and that bugs the heck out of me. And I know, you know, again, it's hard to say anything because those videos have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of views. So it's like, you can't hate that much, you know, they obviously have a winning recipe, but you know, it just is a little kind of discouraging for a creator like myself who, you know, I'm not going to sit there and force you guys to watch me do things that, you know, you don't need to watch me do. So if you meet younger Miguel, what's one thing you will tell him that will help him greatly? I would say if I met a younger version of myself, I would say the one thing that would really help out would be to get comfortable talking and being around people that you don't know. Because I know for me, when I was younger, to go to any kind of a social event without my friends, I wouldn't go. I'd be like, I'm not doing that, you know? So that would have been a skill and a talent that I really wish that I would have like dialed in on earlier in life, because it would have made things so much easier at this point. I shoot A7R2 and A7 III. I am photography oriented. Do you think the R2 is still viable for photography? 100%. I mean, like I was telling you guys before, I had the R2 and I didn't really feel like it wasn't the right choice until the R3 came out, and I started playing with that. But you know, if I didn't have the funds or the ability to be able to upgrade, I would have rocked it with the R2 all the same. Robert says, okay, so it was in reverse. Big light source was the fill and beauty dish was the key. Yes, that is accurate. 100%. Franklin says, you have my like already. Thank you. I appreciate your like. If you have not left a like, please, I need your likes. Give me your likes. Let's see. Dwayne says, I love your work, my dude. I have a lighting question. Is there really a big difference between, say, Godox 8300, Westcott, and say Profoto? Can you tell the difference between them? Really classic, really good question. Can you tell the difference between them as far as if you see like a finished image between the three? Probably not. However, again, it's all in the user experience. There's more to it than just the final image. And so in the experience of using something like an 8300, a Westcott Light, and a Profoto B10 or whatever, the experience is going to be different. As far as the resulting image, I mean, you can use all three lights and you can get an image that you're totally happy with. So remember, YouTube is entertainment, and if you can educate and entertain, you're golden. Yeah, I'm not fighting that. YouTube definitely is entertainment. I think I had that advice from some friends that if you can't entertain first, you can't educate. So definitely a part of my personality that I've suppressed for various reasons that now I'm being more comfortable in kind of showing you all. Sir, I am beginner. Can I get to know what inspired the most in photography? I mean, for me, the thing that inspired me the most in photography was seeing images, and I'll show you guys. Like, I have magazines. I've always had subscriptions to different magazines. I would go to the grocery store. I'd be checking out, and I would see magazines like this. And while I'm sitting there waiting, I would open it up and see images like this Dior campaign ad, and I'm like, these photos look nothing like the photos that I was taking at the time. And so for me, the inspiration and the motivation was to try to figure out what is that missing piece of the recipe that these people have that I don't have. And I think what's surprising is that in the beginning, I thought to myself, well, they probably have a better camera than what I had at the time. And in most situations, I mean, I've seen great photographers. I've assisted great photographers that have done photo shoots with, barely anything. I mean, cheap cameras and cheap old school lights, and they're getting great results. And it's because they know what they're doing. So I think that's, for me, what inspired me was seeing those types of images and figuring out that it was possible for me to be able to create them too. Do you do one-on-one education? I do. Send me an email through miguelquiles.com if you're interested, and I do them hour-long sessions at a time. Joseph says, hope to see you next month. Group chat, good tips. Thank you. Thank you. You will definitely see it. So I think this might have been the same question. Can you tell me what inspired you most in photography? And again, the answer to that is what inspired me most was being able to see these like really fantastic images that I was seeing in magazines and know that it was possible that I could create them too. So how do you decide on the print medium you have a photo printed? Any advice to choose easily? So yeah, I mean, I think the very first thing for me is like when I go to these big photography conferences, there's always like a big print company that has booths there that you can like see and touch the products. So if you've never had an opportunity to attend a photography conference, that's definitely something that you're going to want to do because you get the opportunity to see all of these different print mediums, metal, bamboo, all these different types of paper, fabrics, canvas. You get the opportunity to actually like hold these things in your hand. And then for me, it's always like, ooh, there's this really cool acrylic that like, if I took a certain type of shot and I printed it on acrylic, it would be killer. And so then, okay, well, I'm going to shoot for this format because like that format is going to show my work to its fullest potential. So that's kind of the advice that I would give you. Tim says 41 likes now. Awesome. We're getting there. That is awesome. If you guys are watching right now, definitely leave a like. Much appreciated. Scott says my shoot space is 10 by 16 with 7-foot 9-inch ceilings, and I'm struggling with the size of the room. Yeah, this is, I'm in the same boat here in my studio. I have higher ceilings and I've got a little bit more space, but as you could tell from the framing, my studio is probably about 12 feet wide, I think. The perspective in this video is kind of funky, but you can see it's not a very wide space, but I do have high ceilings. Um, so my best advice would be that if you're working in a space that has a lower ceiling, that has less square footage, just use smaller modifiers. You know, you might be in a scenario where like you'd like to use a 5 foot octa, but it just swallows up the entire room. So maybe using a 3 foot or a 2 foot octa is going to give you a little bit more mileage. So that would be my advice. Tim says, along the lines of print medium, do you print much of your work? Do you have a physical portfolio? Um, I print a lot of my work mainly because I've gotten into the habit now of printing stuff and putting it up on my wall here at my studio. So, and that's only come up in the last like year or so. I mean, I would print stuff out every so often, but I've fallen in love with the idea of like having big prints in my studio. Because as I get clients that come in, it's inevitable. They walk in and they're like, "Ooh, wow, pictures," and you know they stand there, they look at them, they ooh and ah and gawk over them, and you know that's a beautiful thing when you're trying to like work with people and get them excited to work with you. Having like a big print up on the wall, man, is you can't beat that. You really can't. So, but yeah, any other questions that you guys have, leave them in the comments. Um, Empire of Brazil, you know, the capital of Austria-Hungary. Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, I have no idea. That's what Google is for. What is one piece of business advice that someone imparted to you that you learned along the way? It could be several. Um, So, I mean, I've learned a lot of business advice over the years. I'm one of these people that, like, I'm constantly seeking out knowledge and advice. I would tell you the one thing that I used to do that just kind of came naturally, but, you know, was kind of told to me and taught to me, and I fully believe in it, which is that you should always approach things from a like from the mentality of a student, even when you feel like you figured things out, if you still approach things in like a beginner fashion, you still allow yourself the opportunity to grow and to get better and to learn new things. And I think that, you know, oftentimes people are kind of surprised because I know I've had a lot of photographers who, you know, I like maybe they follow me through YouTube or their friends or whatever the case might be, and they'll like be doing something and they kind of like will look at me in a way to be like, hey, is this okay? Like, what do you think about how I'm doing this? And I'm just like, I don't know. How are you doing it? Like, tell me what your reasoning is. Because maybe, you know, maybe my opinion is one way, but then I see how you're doing it and I'm like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. That I wouldn't have thought of that. So, you know, I think it's one of those things where, you know, if you take upon yourself this mantle of just always being a student, you will always learn new things. You'll learn how to do things better. Um, it will just make you a better business person and just a better person in general. So, uh, what is this NFT people are discussing lately? So, my buddy Taylor Jackson put out a video today talking about NFTs. If you've not heard about this, so in the crypto world and in the blockchain world, NFTs are non-fungible tokens, and essentially, uh, it is a way of creating a unique digital product that can be sold. That's really the easiest way that I can describe it. It may not be the like textbook definition, but think about it like this: if I wanted to sell the Mona Lisa, for example, if I painted the Mona Lisa, which I didn't obviously, but had I painted the Mona Lisa, there's only one. And if I painted that, it's worth a lot because there's only one. In the digital space, it's really difficult to do that because in the digital space, you could just copy paste. There could be trillions of copies of that digital product. But with NFTs, you could actually create a digital product that can be traced back to the creator, to the originator, to where you can have something like a digital version of the Mona Lisa that you could sell to somebody, and obviously it carries a certain level of value. So that's why NFTs are really exciting to artists, be it in the music space, the photography space, the video space, because they're able to create value behind a digital product or a digital service that really up until this time hasn't really been able to be done before. So I do think that these NFTs are going to be a big deal, and I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm trying to figure out how I can, benefit from this in the long run. Because if I can create an image and create it as as an NFT where I can sell it and know like, okay, this was created by me. It's a one of, there's value to that, believe it or not. Albert says, I remember meeting you and taking your class at WPPI a while back. I remember you too, Albert. Your class was awesome and I learned a lot. It has been invaluable on my photography journey. You're a great guy and teacher. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the support. It's good to see your face digitally. And hopefully WPPI will be a thing and we can, get back to that in person. Valentine, how's it going? When are you going to keep your next Instagram review? You owe me a review. Yeah, I'm hoping to be able to do one here in the next week or two. I love doing those Instagram reviews and portfolio reviews. It's fun. Yeah, so Choo Choo said basically adding DNA to a digital media, talking about NFTs, and yeah, that's essentially what it is. It's being able to create a digital product, or think about it in music. Being able to create a song, and it's like you have the master, copy of this song, and you could sell that for a whole lot of money. What lens are you currently reaching for the most, and why? Um, So thinking back over the last few weeks, not even the last few weeks, thinking back over the past year, the 24 G Master, which is what you're seeing me on camera right now, this has been one that I've been reaching for a lot. Because of the fact that a lot of the shooting that I've been doing, I've been documenting just life in general, photographing my son, photographing my family. The 24 G Master is a beautiful lens to be able to do that. So I've been using that quite a bit. It's really, really good lens. Hamad was saying that would help a lot with copyright protection. Yeah, it definitely would. EOJ says, great podcast with Pixels and my studio partner, Justin. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was cool, man. Hopefully that will be out pretty soon so that other people can watch it. But yeah, Justin's cool, man. He's got a way of asking questions. Valentine, do you keep in touch with Jeff Rojas? I have not. I would say it's been, let's see, it's 2021. I think we last talked in 2019, maybe early 2020. So it's been a little while, but hopefully everything is going well with him. So yeah, if you guys have any other questions, let me know. Drop them in the chat. Obviously, we've been talking about a lot of different things today, answering questions about gear. We started off the talk discussing whether or not better gear makes you a better photographer, which you guys brought up some really good points. And I still am not 100% if which way I'm going to go with this video, because I still am kind of feeling the idea that, if we're taking that literal definition of the word better, right? If you are using better equipment, that by extension opens up the possibility to make you a better photographer. Doesn't automatically do it, because there are plenty of people out there who, you know, don't have the skills, and they might have the pocketbook to buy something really good, and they still take trash images. I've seen it a million times. Um, but if you are talented and you are skilled, and you could have a better piece of equipment, to whether it's a lens, camera body, light, whatever the case might be, it's probably going to help you to perform quite a bit better. Hamad was saying, what video game are you on right now? Um, so I have been playing quite a bit of Magic the Gathering these days, which may not be the thing you might have been thinking, but I do have the new Xbox, and so on occasion I go back and forth and I'll play, Call of Duty, Gears 5. But most of the time I'm in front of the computer editing photos or editing videos. And so I have a dual screen setup at home. So what I'll do is I'll have one computer open with whatever my work project is, and then my other monitor is open with Magic the Gathering Online. Some of you guys probably don't know this, but before I became a full-time photographer, I actually was trying to become a professional Magic the Gathering player. And as crazy as this is, because again, unless you follow the circuit, you wouldn't know. But you can make a lot of money being a pro Magic the Gathering player. There were tournaments that would happen on the weekends where you can make, $50,000 to $75,000 playing and winning a tournament. So yeah, so I still play Magic the Gathering quite a bit. Don't necessarily aspire to be a pro player. I just play it for fun now. But yeah. Let's see. Valentine was saying, if you do commercial shooting or fashion, any chance to see the results? Um, that's a tough one. It depends. I mean, depends on the client. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. And the fact of the matter is, sometimes I'll do professional work, and it's for the client. It's like I'll shoot stuff that they're super happy with, and I may not be the most happy with it, so I just don't post it. That happens a lot. Chuchu was saying, I have Sony Pro support, and they require people to have two bodies to qualify for their support. If I sell one, they will drop me at some point. I don't know that to be the case. I won't say officially one way or the other, but I will say, I think if you are a Pro support member, I don't know if they have a way of tracking that. So I think once you're in, you're in. But I could be wrong. I don't know. When approaching clients that you have not worked with before, is it always best to show your work via printed photos like a physical portfolio or on a tablet? I don't think it's necessary to show physical prints unless that is part of your business, to sell physical, printed products. If that is the case, then for sure you're going to want to show them, because just as important as the images are, it's equally as important if you're trying to sell, let's say, a wedding client, and let's say you sell albums. You're selling the imagery, but at the same time, you're selling the product that those images are going to be printed on. So yeah, for sure, it's going to be really important to have a physical portfolio, to have physical products that you could show to clients. But for me, a lot of the physical products that I would print on, it's like very kind of specific to the client. So typically speaking, like for them, it's just more important that they get the image that they like, and then they already have an idea in their minds what kind of format or medium that they want their images printed on. So it matters a lot less, that they see a physical printed product, and it matters a little bit more that they see an image that they like. So with that being said, so it has been an hour and a half that we've kind of been hanging out today for this little chill and chat Friday. So thank you guys for joining. Again, if you guys are tuned in and you're watching, and if you spend some time here with me. Let me know if you were watching from the very beginning in the chat. And drop a like on the video as well. Like I said, I have a couple of different videos that I'm working on. One of the videos that I'm working on that should hopefully be up in the next, within a week, hopefully. I have a video that's kind of focused a little bit more on the content creation side of things. So for those of you who aspire to maybe have a presence on YouTube at some point, I have a video coming up that basically shares like how to talk to the camera, like something to make it super easy. That video is like 99% done. And then I have another video, which I have the B-roll shot for, that I teased a while back, actually in my community tab here on YouTube. But it was comparing the photos that I got from the A7R4 versus the ZV-1, which are two drastically different cameras. So that's another video that I hope to be able to get out within the next few weeks or so. So if you get the opportunity, make sure, if you have not subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe. But at the bare minimum, just drop a like. You know, that little thumbs up goes a long way. Do I do this Chill and Chat Friday every Friday? If you guys want it, then yes, I will try to do them at least once or twice a month, because I do have some Fridays where I have the ability to kind of step away from the things that I'm doing and have the opportunity to talk to you all. So with that being said, thank you guys all for joining me today. Enjoy your Friday, enjoy your weekend. Make some steps towards achieving your goals, whatever those goals might be, and taking the image in your mind's eye that you've been wanting to take. Make some steps towards that today. There's no better time to do that than today. So thank you all for joining the broadcast, and I will see you guys in the next video.